All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the September 16th, 2022 edition of News from the Front Lines of Business by DW Huff Consulting, where we help you know your numbers so that you can grow your numbers. So here we are, another week in the bag here. If you had a small business, you may have realized things were very hectic the past week as we dealt with that extended due date for the corporations, which was yesterday, September 15th. So that's done now, and now we're kind of catching our breath and getting back to normal. So here we are for News from the Front Line. So all right, so now we mentioned the one that just passed us as far as the deadlines go, but the next one coming up is for individuals. So October the 15th, if you are a person and you put your personal tax return on extension, now we got to worry about that due date coming up. So it's been kind of quiet, so there haven't been any like additional extensions. There hasn't been any major natural disasters or storms, or things are kind of going, I guess, more normal. And expect that due date to not be pushed back any further. So get it in, and just know too, if you happen to be behind in prior years, there is a penalty kind of waiver. It's kind of automatic right now for 19 and 20 tax years. So if you didn't file those years, now it's as good a time as any to kind of get caught up, get 2021 in on time, and just kind of get yourself on the straight and narrow. So they kind of making it a little bit easier to do that. Business tax planning. So now that this tax deadline's behind us, we had a lot of discussions this past week. As people had tax liabilities that may or may not have been good news for them. But we mentioned this again. So by default, we find a lot of people choosing the S corporation status. So it's a small corporation, and the advantage to that is that the profit or loss from the business flows through onto your personal tax return, and can sometimes be taxed at a more favorable rate. Right? So I guess the advantage is you only tax once. So you hear a lot of this talk about why a C Corp is bad, and double taxation will be the first thing that anybody would say that is a disadvantage. And I would say that that's not necessarily always the case. There's always the corporate tax rates are always different than the individuals, and depending on where you are, because those things change over time for various reasons. Those things get updated, and sometimes one or the other is an advantage in the double taxation. And what they mean by that is the corporation pays tax on its income. You as the share owner would receive a dividend, which would also be taxed at some point later on. So right now the corporate tax rate 21%. The qualified dividend rate for most people is 15% right now. So if you combine it it's 36. However, there's a lot of flexibility with choosing when you actually are going to incur that tax. So if you're a closely held C corporation, there's not much you can do with that. The calendar year ends, you file your tax return, you pay the taxes, and that's it. So not much to, planning opportunity goes on there. But that's one small tax at 20% versus the top individual rate right now, which is at could be as high as 37%. So those rates being such a wide differential, it's not always bad. And the dividend doesn't have to be taken in that same year. So a lot of times you can retain those earnings inside the corporation, pay the dividend out to yourself in a later year when you are personally maybe in a low bracket, because there are times when if your income is low enough, the dividend is taxed at a 0% tax rate, no tax at all. So you could sidestep that double taxation by planning when you take the dividend. Additionally, this takes a little bit of planning to kind of qualify for, but you could leave the money inside of the C corporation after after your earnings have been taxed, and there's some retained earnings in there. Lending that money to yourself is a possibility. Lending the money to another entity to purchase, say, some rental real estate, which is also tax advantage, is a possibility. So, so the double taxation, the second step in a double taxation doesn't always have to happen right away. There's ways to still have access to the net profit after everything's said and done, the net after-tax profit. There's ways to still tap into that without getting hit with that second layer of tax. So, planning always is important, and talking to somebody who knows what who has knowledge of both of these different tax regimes could be well worth his time. Well worth your time to spend spend time in a consultation there and kind of sort out all the details. So think about that. Another thing that's come up a little bit, not so much with my clients, but just on some of the educational things that I watch. So we deal with a lot on rental real estate and this whole virtual land. So this metaverse that's out there. There's a way, it's like a game basically, and you probably seen these funny headpieces that people wear, and basically they're walking around some virtual landscape somewhere. But there's land there, there's buildings. But it turns out there is a way that you can spend some real money to buy up some of this virtual land. So there's different, I guess, hosting organizations, and the land is unique. So they do have it set up where two people can't own the same property, so that much is controlled, and you can buy it, rent it out to other people, and so the idea is, the discussion is this just another Ponzi scheme, right? So you're just dumping your money into some make-believe land, and you're just waiting for the next, the greater fool theory kind of is what you're hoping, right? Some other sucker who's got more money than you comes in and buys it from you. Maybe not, but so people are currently making money renting fake land in this metaverse, and risky it seems like, but I guess we'll see how fast it takes for that to implode. Hopefully not as similar to the cryptocurrency stuff that's going on, but people making money doing crazy things. So be careful. Employee retention tax credit update. So we've processed several of those despite having kind of a heavy workload with this tax deadline, but those things getting processed, and nothing really I guess updated recently as far as that goes. You look at other videos to see the qualification period. It could be either 20 or 21. The things getting out there. We're hearing that the IRS is training auditors to start looking at these things, which I think is to be expected, because the things that are coming across our desk that we're seeing, that we're hearing about other colleagues processing some pretty big dollar amounts. So although there hasn't been very much IRS scrutiny of it currently, we would definitely expect that to open up. So once again, I would not recommend just doing this yourself. If you're a small business owner, get some advice. Same thing with legal and tax and everything else is out there. This is the kind of thing that there are some twists and turns, and if you listen to too many of those advertisements and YouTube pop-ups and everything else that's coming out, where they make it sound like everybody's getting $26,000 per employee, that's not always the case. So be careful and be sure you know what you're doing before you get yourself in trouble with the tax man. So anyway, so that's it for this week. My thought for the week here, as I close things out, deals with I guess slowing down a little bit. So this is the quote here from today's Daily Stoic, and it says that we should remember that life it's not a thing, it's a series of moments, and that most people are too busy to notice. So we're not present in the moment. So that's absolutely the case with me. I'm finding it as I get more and more busy, and I find myself at social events trying to get out of the social events and go back to work and finish whatever it is that I'm working on. So probably not the most healthy mental state to be in. So that's a reminder here. So try to be in the moment. Try to slow things down. There's some good Marcus Aurelius quotes there, as well as Seneca. So if you're not already subscribed to the Daily Stoic, I suggest you check it out. You can dive into some of those writings on a topic a little bit deeper, but definitely in agreement, and coming off of a really hectic week here, that seems like an appropriate message. So that is it for this week, guys. I hope that everybody has a fun weekend, enjoy some football and decent weather, and we'll see you back here next week.